Anyway, I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are joining me live here. I will be speaking here from the great state of Texas. Remember that you can always connect with me on my Facebook and on my YouTube. So either way, you should be able to get in touch with me. I want to take a moment to thank all of you that are tuning in. Here again, my name is Funto Daniel here from the great state of Texas here in the United States. But how are you all doing? Anything new? Something new somewhere happened, right? And you all are aware. I too. And it wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a surprise. And the world is aware of the situation. And it doesn't matter to them. It doesn't. Does it? Of course not. But anyway, my name is Funto Daniel. I will be speaking here from the great state of Texas. And what is the way moving forward? It is quite embarrassing, but that is the reality. But then we as Ambazonian, how do we respond? And La Republique, how do they respond? It seems they were not aware. You know, when the people of Ambazonia were speaking about the atrocity of the neighboring country, they thought something new is going to happen. And they seem to believe that whatever the Supreme Council, whatever they call it, is going to make a difference. Obviously, it wouldn't make any difference as far as we know about La Republique. La Republique hasn't made any difference as far as the world is concerned, as far as France give up power. But anyway, thank you, Diodene, for tuning in. And here again, my name is Funto Daniel. I will be speaking here from the great state of Texas, here in the United States. Remember that you can always get in touch with me on my YouTube. And make sure that you subscribe on my YouTube. So when I'm on the air, you should be able to get immediate communicate. So I want to take a moment to thank all of you. If you are in neighboring country, La Republique, those should be jubilating over their victory. And those should be crying over a stolen victory. But we, people of the Ambazonia, we are aside. We stay aside. We were just watching what is happening there. Because when I speak of the people of Ambazonia, the people of Ambazonia has witnessed a democratic government in a series of change of power from Dr. Endele to Jongbu Foncha and to Augustin Ngumjwa. Those were the series of people or presidents or ex-presidents that has, under the federal, has transferred power from one elected officials to another elected officials in the Southern Cameroon or West Cameroon. La Republique, since it had transferred power since France prepared La Republique from their independence, there has never witnessed a transfer of power from one elected officials to the next elected officials. And yet today has reaffirmed that La Republique is not a democratic country. But the world seems not to understand. But the people of Amazonia knew exactly what it is. But we must move forward with our sovereignty. We must fortify our sovereignty. We must be more self-disciplined. I urge those who preach divisiveness. I urge those who preach divisiveness among us should stay away and understand that this is not a moment that we need to be preparing ourselves for divisiveness. We have one common enemy within our midst, La Republique. And I don't see any need I should be punching my brother or my sister. And our sister or our brother must have some mentally capable to understand the differences. Instead of you telling someone what you expect them to do, you should be able to understand your own personal problem so that you can be able to determine whether other person is having a problem. But how does La Republique need to move forward? Well, it is up to the neighboring country La Republique to determine whether is that what they expect to have? Is that the person they expect them to govern them? That is the big question that La Republique need to be thinking now. What is their radical action they must take against La Republique? Then we will be speaking about these issues as we move forward. This is imperative. I know our fellow brothers in France, our fellow brothers of the neighboring country, La Republique, they are disturbed. They can't imagine what is happening. They can't believe what is happening. This is what they must take into considerations. Either they sit and determine what is the platform of moving forward. First, they need to radicalize themselves. One, to recognize that this is not their legitimate president. Second, they cannot be ruled by someone that is 80 years and above. Why the current generation are the people that are still having a brighter future for themselves. They should be able to determine who governs them and not the older guns that some are in the graveyard. Some are almost knocking the door of the graveyard. When you have a person like Paul Biya, Paul Biya is at the age of 86 years old. One, he's suffering from mental psychosis. He can't remember his wife's name. He can't remember where he left his room. He can't leave his office and return to where he came from. And yet he today was sworn in as a president of a country that is suffering from mental psychosis. Fellow people of the world, are you excited to see this happening? Are you? Let's look at the structure that control La Republique. What are the structure? You have Paul Biya at the helm of the enterprise. He is 86 years old. By the time he leaves his office, he will probably be 92 years old. And not everyone lives up to that expectation. Whereas you have people that are at the prime of their lives. Some are at the prime of their lives that they ought to determine their economic structure of their country. Whereas these supposed to have been in retirement home, they're supposed to be in reserve home, they're supposed to be in somewhere. Whereas they're still at the helm. One, Paul Biya cannot produce. Paul Biya cannot deliver a child. Paul Biya, fundamentally, Paul Biya has obsolete. He has no value to deliver to the people of La Republique. He has no value. He cannot get married. He cannot deliver a child. He cannot have any. Can you give me concrete analysis why you expect Paul Biya to be the president of a country? He is absolutely above the prime of his enterprise. He is beyond the utilization. We have another person in the boss of internal security. He is another 86 or 87 years old. He is the boss of the internal security, the director of internal security in the neighboring country, La Republique. He is 86 years old. Can you give me a genuine reason why he must be the boss of the internal security to control the citizens, the children, people that are still either merging into their prime or should be in their prime, that they are capable to manage the activities of their country. And yet we have persons like Martin Nguele, Nguele. He is the director of security. He's 86 years old. What is his purpose to be leading an security? He cannot even walk a simple distance from his office to his car. They use a wheelchair to transport him from his office to with a wheelchair. And he is the boss of the internal security. He has outgrown his prime. If someone can be head of security, if he is has a disability, but he has the young age of his prime. For example, I can say the governor here in the state of Texas, he uses wheelchair, but he's a young person. The governor of my state here in Texas uses a wheelchair, but he's a young person at the age of his prime. He's not 86 years old like Martin Geller, who is 86 years old in charge of security. He can't walk a distance. He can't maintain. He doesn't even able to recall what happened 2 minutes ago. These are the structure of this neighboring country, La Republique of Cameroon. We have another person again, Nyat Jivenji Maxel. He is the head of the Senate. Can you give me reason why Nyat at the 87 years old at the head of the Senate? There is absolutely little progress that he has to offer. He has absolutely nothing to offer. He cannot deliver a child. He cannot have he is beyond human need. He is at the structure of dying. He is at the structure of dying. There are young people, energetic, active, that is capable, well-educated, intelligent, and capable to manage the internal affairs of the country. But yet, they are roaming around the street, have PhD, have all level of degrees, but they are not have that opportunity. And while we have someone at 86 years who ought to be in retirement home, and that is the president of the Senate, called Nyat Jivenji Marcel. Can you give me reason why you believe Nyat Jivenji Marcel should be at the helm of the Senate? We have another nuisance. Kaiva Yege Jibri. Kaiva Yege Jibri is 80 years old. Kaiva Yege Jibri is 80 years old. Can you give me a genuine reason why he should be head of the Speaker of the House? Absolutely nonsense. This guy ought to be in the retirement home. They ought to be in a nursing home. They ought to be somewhere without the view of the world. Can you give me a clarified reason why Kaiva Jege Jibri should be the head of the Speaker of the Assembly? Obviously, no one can give me a concrete evidence why Kaiva Jege Jibri should be. You have General Mbela at the head of the Foreign Affairs. He cannot even walk. He's suffering from psychosis. He's mentally deranged. He can't even see through. He can't even recognize those at the office. He's been guided like a robot. And yet, he is Foreign Affairs. We have another nonsense idiot, Mafani Mosonge. Mafani Mosonge, that is that certain person that was responsible stocking polling station in his house and were being guided by the military of La Republique at his residence in Limbe or Victoria. Mafadi Mosonge was the one that installing polling station in his bedroom in Victoria. And today, he is expecting a reward. That is the country you call that I should be appreciated to be part of the system. You have another Egypt, Buba Bello Mogari. What does Buba Bello have to offer? This is an Egypt that are just turning around, concentrated the wealth, while those who had just graduated from school, they are the high capacity of their mental reasoning and able to judge the economic structure of their destiny, that are being stuck by this bunch of individuals that I am calling their names here as listed here. You have another fundamental individual, Philemon Yang. Philemon Yang has been an ambassador to Canada for the period of 20-something years. And today, he hasn't produced a genuine reason why he was an ambassador for 22 years. And now, he is the head of the prime minister, the minister that has no portfolio. And despite the massive killing that is going on in the people of Ambazonian, yet he has no single statement to make a voice out. He cannot even caution the defense minister that operates under his function. He's simply a figurehead. That is who a Philemon Yang, just a figurehead. He has a minister that operates under him, called the defense minister. He is in charge of the atrocity that is going around in the Federal Republic of Ambazonian. Yet he behaves as though he is not aware of historical fact. And yet, do you expect Philemon Yang to be able to return to the Southern Cameroon territory? You will agree with me that I would not be the one to see Philemon Yang return into the Southern Cameroon territory. Philemon Yang, you will expect him to return to the Southern Cameroon territory. I think he should be packaged and sent back to La Republique in different formats. Because if a minister of defense operates under his control, and yet he is massacring the citizens, massacring the citizens of the Southern Cameroon in their territory, and yet he cannot discipline the minister, and he is the head of the government, I believe he should pay the price when he steps his leg wherever in the Southern Cameroon territory, and we would disfigure him and return him back to where let him return back, and he should never be buried in any Southern Cameroon territory. Another person you have, Adolf Mudiki. Adolf Mudiki is in charge of the National Hydrocarbon Corporation. That is where all the drainage of the oil refinery in the Southern Cameroon territory, that they don't have even a single road network. And he is in charge of the National Hydrocarbon Corporation. And that is the francophone that drained all the resources in the Southern Cameroon territory and implanted into the neighboring country, La Republique. And yet the citizens of Southern Cameroon, they don't have even a single road network. They cannot even travel from one destination to the next. They cannot even walk because it is embarrassing. It is absolutely embarrassing. And yet, we have these individuals at the helm of a nation. We have another person again, Achille Achu. Achille Achu may be turning 90 years old, Because we know some of them have backdated their birth certificate. They don't have exactly birth certificate that indicate their true years. Today, they are jubilating. Why the sons and daughters of the common man on the street basically has absolutely nothing to be proud of themselves, that they are able. We have another one. It's called Victor Mukete. He's 98 years old. That's another staunch disturbance in the Southern Cameroon territory. Victor Mukete, he's 98 years old. He barely stands on his feet. He barely moves. He barely recognizes himself. He barely weighs himself. And yet he is the head of an enterprise. That is the world we live in. When idiots become the head of an enterprise, the head of a nation, they control, while the citizens that are well educated basically live on bread and sardine. I remember the redundant day or the frustration day they call the 20th May. 20th May is a falsified day that they created and formed and called is a national day. Because they don't have a national day. They don't even know when their independence was granted. And that is why they can't celebrate it. And our people of Southern Cameroon celebrate our independence with grand dignity. Yet, La Republique doesn't know when is their celebration day. But I remember when I was a child, when I had to go to school, I must have my sardine and my bread. And after I have grown up, I think I can afford. But yet, you have people that have grown up. They still believe that sardine and bread is what La Republique is affording to them. And that is why you see them on the streets begging for sardine and bread. Because the nation, they believe, can afford and provide them the necessary need they have to be able to preserve. You have another idiot, Amadou Ali. Amadou Ali is another person they call Vice Prime Minister. All these with positions that I can't imagine who they are. This is the people that is creating animosity. If the world is not aware of this, this is the world that has turned a blind eye, even to speak the reality and acknowledge that there is a problem in these African countries. And yet, that is why they will fight. That is why they're building a defensive barrier. Instead of building a defensive barrier from immigrants to migrate, because you are the architects that is frustrating the government, encouraging brutal dictatorship like France. France is encouraging brutal dictatorship to suppress its citizens, and then the people started migrating to search for a better future. If France has stood with the people and fixed the nation in such a way that it will allow the people to be able to stay where they are, instead of France promoting brutal dictatorship that has no value within their nations. And now the people are seeking for greener pasture. And when they are seeking for greener pasture, they have to travel from France to seek for greener pasture. And there, that is where they call them the immigrants. It's because France cannot allow a meaningful economic structure that can be able to prevail in their nations. If someone that is 86 years old, suffering from psychosis, can you expect him to produce any meaningful issues that will benefit the nations? And that is why there's a skyrocketing of immigrants searching for greener pasture. And yet, the world seems to stay blind as they seem to know no factual reality that is causing the problems. This is amazing. You have people, this structure of individuals are using the military weapons as France is supplying the weapons for them to destroy the fundamental life of these people. And now, in the next few days, you will see various embassies will be flooded for people searching for a way to exit out, because they have superimposed these individuals that has no basically fundamental value on behalf of the people. I am sure some people are already at the embassy. I am sure that there are some immigrants that are already in the British embassy. There are some immigrants that are already in the French embassy. There are some immigrants that are already at the US embassy. There are some immigrants that are in the Swiss embassy. There are some immigrants that have already seeking a refuge somewhere because they don't expect themselves to live in that country. And yet, the world seems to turn a blind eye, as though they are not aware of the reality. When you have someone at the helm of an enterprise that has basically fundamental less value on behalf of the people. So if we choose to make a place fundamentally, basically, a nice place so that people can live, then they will appreciate. And so when they will appreciate, because when you have people that are the helm of an enterprise that should be somewhere in the nursing home, when you have poor bear that is suffering from psychosis and affective disorder, you have people like Paul Biya that cannot remember his hallway. When he leaves his office, he has to be guided back to his room. You have Paul Biya simply pass his wife at the hallway because he doesn't recognize her. That is the person you call the wife, the president of a country. Are you? It is absolutely disgusting. When Paul Biya leaves his office, he doesn't recall where his bedroom is. When he leaves the hallway, he sees his wife. He thought it was somebody's wife. That is the person that has been proclaimed today as the president of a nation. The world seems to be as ignorant as they are. The world seems to be ignorant, as though, and you can imagine that the same all those ambassadors were in a 2D, witnessing how a failure has emerged. And yet, tomorrow, whether tomorrow is a working day, tomorrow is a working day. They will be in the office tomorrow and they see an influx of people searching for visa to step out. Tomorrow will be the influx of people at the various embassies searching for a way to exit because they believe they can't live in that country because they have changed the fundamental principles of the game and superimposed. Because you can't clarify with me that Martin Gelle, internal security boss at 86 years old, what can he produce on behalf of the people? In absolute terms, can you clarify me why someone at 86 years become the boss of internal security? I have people that are basically 50. They are that brain. They have trouble recalling what happened. Even those, the psychologists, whom they can share more light on of these mental functions. They believe that at a certain age, mental alertness decline. And imagine someone at 86 years old that is the boss of an internal security, that is in charge of over how many thousand police. And that is the government. You expect me to be honored and respect. You have Achidi Achu. He's 80-something years old. He barely suffering from knee degradation. He's suffering from knee degradation. He basically can't even walk to his bathroom. He's been lifted with a lift and placed in a car to take to Yaoundé to perform functions. While we have a younger generation, mentally alert, faster thinking, process information rapidly, change the dynamic and the culture of the economic system for the interest of all the people of Southern Cameroon or La Republique that will benefit. And yet we have this one that is suffering from psychosis. We have another person again, Issa Shiruma. Issa Shiruma, that is the worst liar on the planet. He cannot even recognize it because he's suffering from mental depression. He will go to the media and explain that the people that were killed were Malian. You can imagine a communication minister in a government on the public media and declare without remorse that it was another nation's. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. This is what La Republique must move forward. One, all the military that are protecting the neighboring country, La Republique, all the military, as none of their families should be living in La Republique. This is what La Republique must move forward. Since the military superimpose this brutal dictatorship on behalf of the people of La Republique, then this is what they must do. And those families should not be living in the same neighborhood. They must disembark. They must pick all their family and take them to the camp. Otherwise, they shouldn't be in the neighborhood. This is what must be the step moving forward. Because since they cannot eliminate phobia in the neighboring country, then the military must not be living in the neighborhood. This is a serious thing that it needs to be instituted. If the military is protecting phobia, then the military ought not be living in the same neighborhood. They must get their family and let them be living in the military camp. Because people are in their prime. People are in the high level of their, and they see their livelihoods disappear within a short space of time. And they can't see a brighter future because we have a certain individual that are the helm of the government since they were born. And yet they cannot give distance and allow another different image and start building another nation. You all will agree with me. Here in the United States, President Obama just gave power to Donald Trump. In the next couple of years, Donald Trump will give power to another person. And that is how the growth of this nation it is. And previously, President George Bush Jr. Sr. handed over power. And we have Bill Clinton. And there was no military. I can testify that this today, I just came out to vote. When I went to vote, I did not see any military that was present in my voting station. Neither when I left, I see any military at my voting station. And the result will be released, and I will not see any military standing at the voting station or declaring who have to be voted. Because it is a fundamental value for the citizen to choose who are their leaders. But in La Republique, the entire military were on the street because they are not truthful what they are about to deliver or they have just delivered. And so therefore, the people must revenge against the military. None of the military should be living in the neighborhood. Whether they must get their family out of the neighborhood. That is the plan. Because once you begin to eliminate the military from their neighborhood, then they will find who is at the helm that is preventing them to move forward. Because once you start eliminating the military at their neighborhood, then they will turn the gun against the person that is preventing government to change. This is what they must do. This is what they must move forward. This is the time they must move forward. There is no time of joking. As the military is supporting Bia, then the military shouldn't be living in the same neighborhood. Yes, they shouldn't be living in the same neighborhood. Because the goal of the military is to protect, be an umpire, and support liberty for all citizens, not exception, not a particular individual, but for all citizens. But when the military turns to support one individual, then they violate their fundamental duty. Then it is the duty of the people to eliminate those military anywhere in their neighborhood. It began now, it starts now, and tomorrow, and it has to continue until Biya leave the chair. This is what you must do. This is what you must do. You must begin that if you haven't had the access to whatever weapon you have, it's now that everybody has to have a weapon. Let's face, how many military are there? And when you divide it to the number of the population, at least there are about 22 million populations. And if there are 22, how many military are there? And how many weapons do they have? Because if you start eliminate their family at the neighborhood, then that is where the real election result will come out. And that will never happen. You all know what happened to J.J. Rawlings. J.J. Rawlings changed the dynamic culture of Ghana. And today, we all expect a change of leadership in Ghana. If J.J. Rawlings did not do that, then no fundamental change would have occurred. So it's time now. We must bring the fundamental change in the neighboring country, La Republique. So we begin by all the representatives of the military. Any of their family that is living at the neighborhood, they shouldn't be in any neighborhood in the neighboring country, La Republique. This is what you must do. Since the world cannot speak, you must speak on your behalf. You begin by eliminate any military relative that is your neighborhood. Because you begin to start pointing them out. If you are in Douala, eliminate all the military relatives in Douala. If you are in Yaoundé, the same. If you are in Grand Nord, the same. Western province, then we see where they're going to go hide. This is the beginning. If you are not aware, this is the beginning. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. You cannot have someone since 1982 has been in power till this present century. No, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Just begin at the neighborhood. If you are in Western Province, begin at the neighborhood. Any military that you recognize in your home, they need to leave. Either they leave or degage them up to the military, or whatever they call it, neighborhood. Do not allow any military, any that is in the neighborhood. Because once you start eliminating them, let them go to the barrack. And they should never step into the neighborhood. Because when you begin that method, then let's find out who they're going to support. They will eliminate the person that is at hand, whom they are supporting. Because once you do that, then the changes begins right away. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Fellow brothers and sisters, I want to take a moment to thank all of you, to thank you that difference began when all of us make a difference. But if you cannot make a difference, then support the momentum. So they just execute their own order. So it's the citizens now to execute their own orders. So in whatever you have, whatever you can afford, immediately and unconditionally provide your own defensive system, provide your own military weapons. Let's face the military, because they believe military are in genuine supposed to protect citizens, but when they deviate from their original duty, then the citizen has an obligation to tell them, no, we cannot in any circumstances stand with you. And so you begin at your neighborhood. Check who is your neighborhood. Any military beside your neighborhood. Because once you begin to eliminate them, they will turn the weapon towards the person that is disturbing the nations. Because if you don't, then that is the way out. You all know what happened to other nations. You imagine the military. When someone that was 92 years old and wanted to run again, but the military make a difference to the people by saying, no, enough is enough. And he turned down. And so La Republique can. So it's time you tell the truth. I want to take a moment to thank all of you for watching. I wish you a happy good night. And La Republique, the ball is in your court. Do you want to allow this military to stay in your neighborhood and they're supporting dictatorship against your will, then it's time now you join. I wish all the rest of the good night.